generally more money doesn't actually equate to them feeling special. They're going to get that for selling your product anyway. But doing special things for them, having special call-outs for them, treating them differently on different platforms. So let me talk about this, because I think that this comes into this will help here, is working with them on other platforms other than TikTok Shop. So seeing if they want to work on a campaign. I like to call this TikTok Shop for D2C. It's like affiliate marketing on steroids. So the idea is that you're going to use their content, whitelist them, and then send that content to a co-branded landing page that they get to have with your brand. And with that, we're seeing just like incredible conversion rates. But alongside of that, you're investing into the creators. Does that make sense, like in some of the ways? Awesome. Anyone else have questions when it comes to that specific? I think I'll do that for this talk, actually. I'll do questions sort of as we go. Yes?
Well, I can wait, but my question is more, talk about taking them off the platform. So running competitions, is that what you guys are doing as an agency now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, sweet. Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
So we run these big competitions, like giving an iPad, giving a Ferrari, giving a whatever, right? Because it was the same concept. It's really the same concept that was happening there.
Totally, yeah.
So is that what you guys are doing to take care of them?
Yes, so especially on the agency side, we can afford to do that. So we have a certain amount of budget every month where we're running different contests for them. Software company that I advise right now, Refunnel, if you guys have ever checked them out, go check them out. Refunnel is actually building that functionality into their tool right now, where you can actually run these contests straight within that platform. The problem is, it's like, it's very, very manual, right, to run these contests, and very difficult to see, like, where is this break even exactly going to be. This is why joining forces with other brands potentially, and this is why the agency model in this sense works so well, because we're able to take a certain percentage of what brands pay us and put it towards the creators altogether. The idea at the end of the day, though, is take them off platform and go to an owned platform, but it needs to be some sort of community-based platform. School is great. I'm a big School fan these days. WhatsApp, I think, for messaging is probably the best way that you're going to do that. But having some sort of place where they can actually talk back and forth with each other. Yes? Discord, yes, yes. Yeah, Discord is good. Being a millennial, I'm not a Discord guy. It really actually depends who your influencers are. Your creators. The creators that we tend to work with the most at our agency are actually millennials, which is really interesting. They tend to be driving the most amount of GMV, which I think is really, really interesting. And so for them, they aren't Discord people. They don't want to be in another Discord group, but they really get and like WhatsApp. And so again, whenever you're building a community, just figure out where people are already hanging out and build the community there. I don't recommend using Facebook groups for this, just because you're not going to be able to get the message out to them. So the combination that we use is, so we have a couple of different levels of group. Again, we want to recognize the ones that are doing 50K in GMV or more a month. And so we have them in a separate group to make them feel special. But then they also are in our school community, which is an entire community with all of our different creators. So that's the way that we set it up. We have WhatsApp to send out messages to let them know what's going on in school, right? So WhatsApp is amazing because it's essentially text messaging, right? And so we're able to send out a message and then get them back over into school, especially because school is a fairly new app. I think it's becoming bigger and bigger, and we're seeing more creators on there. So that's one of the things we do there. Let's do more questions around creators and this whole concept here. Any other questions? Yeah.
So you're talking about how to attract the top of the top creators, but they're only going to work with more well-known brands.
No, not more well-known brands. They're going to work with brands that have high GMV that they can make money on. So it's not necessarily a well-known brand. What they want to see is when they look at the SKU or the product that you were sending over to them in a Target collab, they want to look at it and say, oh, it's already done $100,000. Sweet, I think I can make money on this. That's what they want to see.
What about somebody trying to get to that point though as well?
Yeah, so I'm going to get into, I think that's what I'm trying to remember what again, I'm not a slides guy, I'm more of a talk guy. But I was actually going to get into the different phases of growth. So maybe that's a good segue. I'm going to get into the different phases of growth. Yeah. Any other, just before I get into those phases, any other questions on creators or the way that we like to treat creators? Yes?
Yeah. How much access scripts and
All cowboy. They do not want to be told what to do, ever. So that is a really big thing. They're not influencers.
if somebody wants a script, they're probably not a good creator.
I don't think that that's the case. Well, maybe it is. Maybe that's an easy way to do it. If they don't understand how to make content that sells, they're probably not going to be a good creator. Right? Like if they need a script, now if they need bullet points of what your product, like of the special things about your product, then yes, you need to send out some sort of creative brief that's like really, really short for them, right? Like 3 bullet points of like, hey, here's why this product is so great, right? And here's some things to talk about. Even better though, Mikey, is I would send out, and what we send out is ideas of videos that have crushed. And if you don't have any GMV on your products yet, be like, hey, here's one of our competitors. And you can see on Calidata or Fastmoss, you can go over and see, oh, well, this person has actually, this particular video actually produced $50,000 at GMV. Why don't you make a video kind of like this? Or here's an idea. They don't mind ideas. It's just they don't want to be told what to do like in a scripted sort of way. Does that make sense? Awesome.
Just a quick follow-up on that. So you set parameters so they within like FTC guidelines?
I,
Getting rid of the best part of TikTok.
yeah, no.
Because the creator's just like doing great volume for you, but he's like, hey, this cures cancer. You're gonna have to put like
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So that's a good example. So do not. Yeah. Make sure that they're not using cancer curing types of language. Yes. Absolutely. Now that gets into if your product is on the edge and might do that, like for shirts, you're probably not going to have to say that to your creators. But there's a lot of companies that we work with that are sort of on that edge, and so we will make sure to tell them in the brief. Now, the way that we deliver our briefs is within school. And so within that brief, we'll actually make a video for them and let them know, hey, here's what's great about the product. Here's some things that you can touch on. Here's what to say. Here's what not to say, right? So that's the best way. Felix, yes?
just a quick comment on that. So a little trick there is that they say this makes my hair feel like this, as opposed to saying this makes my like making a claim. So that's little things.
Feel. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not getting cancer.
I feel as though cancer's not growing within me. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I would make sure that they're not making claims like that. Again, we have not seen any issues. It's funny being Canadian because we just like lawsuits just aren't a thing for us in the same sort of way that it is. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This is like a normal part of American culture. And so yes, you need to look out for that. Absolutely. That's not legal advice. Just I've heard people say that in America. So yes.
You're talking a lot about like your own creators. You build that community. That takes a lot of time. We're going to go over starting with creators, using Creator Marketplace, things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Why don't we get into that? Oh, frameworks set you free. So I've been thinking lately, I'm like, I just went through this fun exercise. I'm not going to write a book, but I'm like, if I were to write a book, I think it would be called Frameworks. Because I think that frameworks are the best way to think about all of this kind of stuff. And I'm going to be introducing frameworks for you guys today so that you can take what we talk about, your specific brand, and then sort of hang that on these frameworks. We're going to be talking about 4 growth phases. I did have it in 3, but I think that 4 is a little bit more nuanced. Most of you are going to be within phases 1, 2, and 3 right now. We have a lot of brands right now that are in phase 4, which is really in this like mass scaling type of mentality, and that's usually over about $100,000 a month. Again, it's kind of funny for those of us who have come from this space, like running fairly large brands, and the numbers that you see on TikTok Shop. We have a brand that's like $1 billion shoe brand that we work with, and they're pumped that we're at like $2.5 million on TikTok Shop. The reason being that it's this brand new channel. We can't think about the numbers in the same sort of way, right? So if you're at, for you guys at like around $100,000 a month, that's okay, right? That's okay. I think that you guys could probably be a lot higher than that. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there. But just remember, you're not thinking about the same numbers as you are, necessarily driving to your D2C store with Facebook right now. But it will be there. When we see I should have put this in the slides. When we see the exponential growth that is happening on TikTok Shop right now, and we see this versus Amazon early days and Shopify early days, it's not even close. Like, the hockey stick is happening. We just know that at some point it's going to be up here, right? So just remember that as we're talking about numbers. All right. So phase 1 is creating FOMO and the opportunity of attracting creators. So this is phase 1, right? When you first start, number 1, I think I get into this in a slide. Awesome. These are kind of some sort of boring things here with creating your compelling shop visuals. This is not nearly as important as the idea and this sort of framework behind creating FOMO and attracting creators, right? So what you want to do in phase 1, the entire point of phase 1 is to set your shop up so that creators actually want to work with you. So number 1, it is having a product that they cannot get anywhere else. I talk about the TikTok Shop halo effect all the time. You do not want the TikTok Shop halo effect for your creators. You don't want to talk about them. I've sent some emails to my email newsletter list, and I'll talk about the halo effect in them. And people will come to me and be like, hey, there's like a couple creators on there. They don't like to hear about the halo effect. As a brand, we love the halo effect, right? But it's the idea that whatever product you put on there, onto TikTok Shop, needs to be exclusive to TikTok Shop. Has anyone ever been in, I was gonna say been in Costco. Are any of your products in Costco? No? You'll know that with Costco, you have to have a specific product that they can't get anywhere else. Like the Ninja Creamy, you couldn't get, I'm just using it because I bought it for my kids recently, and it was wonderful. You could only get the Creamy with these 4, like in this certain bundle. It was like the Costco bundle, right? Costco does this all the time, and you're like, can I get this somewhere else? It's named something else. Well, I'm just gonna get it at Costco. It's the same idea on TikTok Shop, right? So you wanna have a specific bundle. You wanna have a specific, like maybe it's something attached. So I'll get to your question in just one sec. But one of the ideas that that we had for a really well-known, one of the biggest makeup brands in the world was we're like, okay, they don't innovate. This is one of those these old makeup brands that just does not innovate. And so the idea from TikTok was like, hey, we'll put it into a makeup pouch that says TikTok made me buy it. Awesome. That's the only place that they can get that. That's incredibly important for the creators, more so than anything else, right? The creators are the ones that want to see that they can't go off of that, the customer can't go off platform and go purchase it somewhere else, like on Amazon. They don't want to be able to go and buy the same thing, which is why you have to have special product releases. One of the things that we've done with the big shoe brand that we work with is we've actually done their biggest product releases on TikTok Shop first. And so the creators then get to have that product first and get to put it out in the world first. And then if that product drop does well, then they go and put it out to all of retail and .com and Amazon and all those places. And so we're actually using TikTok as a way to enter into new markets as well and test new products. So really, really interesting. You had a question?
You actually hit my point, which is early access. In the app world, like when people are...
So TapCard is the, yeah, exactly. You would guys always talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was there, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have the same effect on influencers, allowing them to announce early access and giving them that advantage.
Totally.
Them out on that, and then you have a trailing effect potentially.
Totally. Empathy to the creators is the most important thing, right? Like, what do they want, right? They want to feel special. They want to feel important. They want to feel like they're getting something, that they have something exclusive to tell their audience, right? I do some software promos every once in a while, and I'm always like, can you just tell me something interesting to talk about that's unique to me, that isn't something that anyone can just go to a website and see? Otherwise, it's like kind of useless to talk about, right? And so people want to talk about that. And for me, I get to have that empathy being on the other side sometimes of this. Which is funny because it's a very different world. Any other questions when it comes to that and creating FOMO? Yes?
Okay, so for those of us who are really, really early, like just starting out,
Yes.
would it be a good tactic to go on TikTok first? You said to only go on it if you already have sales, if you already have followers, but what if it's like a first mover, brand new
Totally fine, but you need to get GMV, like you need to get revenue onto your product, right? So to do that, you need to work with a set amount of creators at first, and then run ads against that so that you have GMV on that particular product. So when you start to then do mass outreach and mass seeding, people will actually say yes to it because they can see that they can make money on it, right? So you can't, like, to cold start, unless you're a huge brand, it's very, very difficult to cold start without actually spending money on ads at first. Yeah. Any other questions when it comes to that and creating FOMO around all of this in phase one? Yes?
I have one question. You said you had a creator that put together, I got it on TikTok Shop on the bag.
This was for TikTok. So TikTok itself was, this is like a big, multi-billion-dollar beauty brand. So TikTok itself was saying, well, hey, we're going to put together this package so creators can sell this package for the brand. This is just part of like their merchandising strategy.
Because I'm doing something similar to that, and I was wondering if TikTok's okay with that. Like, to put, like, so creators are holding, this is a TikTok specific.
Absolutely. Yes. So the question is it okay if I do a TikTok specific, is TikTok going to be okay with that?
Yes.
Are you using their logo?
Well, I haven't printed them out yet, but can I? Can you speak?
I think that TikTok, I think that TikTok is like the Wild West right now. So
Yeah, I'll run with it.
I-
Getting close down to 2 months, though.
Yeah, right?
yeah.
Run with it. I just didn't know if that's what you were saying they're going to do.
Yeah, so this was sanctioned by TikTok. We're connected with global key accounts, which are like these brands 4 billion and above, and they will just do anything to get these brands in. And so they're like, oh, we've got 100,000 of these makeup cases. Why don't we put those two together? Because this brand's not going to innovate and create a new product for TikTok. They just won't do it, right? And with brands like that, like it takes it would take like 2 years for them to roll out a new product. So yeah, that's a great question. Any other questions here? You guys are asking such good questions. Yes.
You were talking, I missed that, but you said running ads when you're first starting out. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So are you running ads just like on the general? I mean, I'm not really on the ad side of this, but is it like, if this is your vibe, then join our creator program or like that type of thing, or is it just like brand awareness?
So ideally, if you have relationships with any TikTok creators, you're going to get them to create content, and then you're going to run ads against their content at first. The easiest way to do this is to mash up stuff that works on Instagram or has worked on TikTok and run it from your brand handle to get a little bit of GMV, right? You're just trying to get some sort of traction because remember, they're getting 1,000 emails a day. They're getting 300 Target collabs a day, right? Otherwise, you're just going to get a bunch of creators that aren't going to make great content and just want free stuff.
Are those called spark ads? Like where they
Yes.
on theirs and then you just like boost so it shows on their profile?
Exactly. Yeah, those are called Spark ads, right? So just in case somebody didn't hear that. So Spark ads are ones that are it's where you're essentially boosting the post of an influencer. So it's like whitelisting met straight into TikTok Shop, which is kind of this whole TikTok Shop for D2C idea that I was talking to you guys about before as well. Okay, so picking the right products, it is definitely an art, and the kinds of products that are actually going to sell. So I mentioned Calidata and FastMoss before. If you guys are not doing research on there, that is the very first place to start. I like Calidata. It's just a very easy, simple to use platform. I don't have any horse in the race there. I will tell you if I do, though, because I'm going to talk about a TikTok Shop bot after that. I am an advisor and on the cap table, so just in case you guys are wondering. Picking the right products is really important. Number one, go to your category. That's really important to see. Calidata with a K, Kalodata, I believe. Yeah, was that correct? I felt like a spelling bee, so. Okay, awesome. So picking the right products and how you are merchandising and positioning is incredibly important. So let's go to t-shirts. Let's go to True Classic. I would go and look and see who else is in the space first, right? So again, for you guys, you're fairly well known, so I think that people are going to, you could definitely be the ones to set the market. When we started working with one shoe brand, the most that they had done, so when I did the research on it, when they came to me and they're like, what do you think we can do on TikTok Shop? For some reason, I had one of my assistants who was in the Philippines run the numbers for me. and she gave me numbers in Filipino dollars. And so I was like, oh yeah, shoes are doing mass amounts of volume. And then I looked after and I was like, oh, the most shoes had done $50,000 a month. We luckily in month 2 did over $1 million. And that was a category that I don't know if I would have done again at the time. Now shoes are great, footwear is great, but it was early moving. And so let's say for t-shirts, I would actually go specifically into that category and I'd find where the white space is or where the blue ocean is. Specifically around how you're able to. I don't like discounting a lot. Like with this big shoe brand, we run very, very few discounts. Like I think it's like max like 10% that they're running. So you do not have to massively discount, but you have to show some sort of value and some sort of FOMO. Again, I think that's really what it comes down to is like there has to be FOMO for the creators, but then there also has to be some sort of FOMO for the people that are purchasing it. And so again, for them, it has to be something that they can only get on TikTok. So as you're thinking about your merchandising, I would have some sort of specific pack that they could only get there.
So I was just gonna say, we've seen competitors do this and like try to follow our pack suite of like 3-pack of, standard fruit shirts.
Yeah.
That have, they're like, oh, for, $15, you get to a point where you discount too much, where you kind of like leverage the trust of the consumer, where you're like, but it's like buying something from Wish.
Oh, totally,
Right?
totally. And Temu, right?
Balance of like creating some brand affinity a little bit with, so that's something I've noticed on the creators aspect of competitors.
Yes. Question?
Is there a way to find what influencers can push? Because some products are only for certain people. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking for dancers. Is there a way to find? Is there a list? Is there those kind of influencers that I can find?
Yes, let me walk you through that on Calidata and one of the different ways that I've done that before and that our team does that. So we'll actually go into a an adjacent product category that would work. So let's say for makeup, we're gonna go into skincare and I'm gonna look at the very top products in skincare and then I'm gonna look at their top 5 creators. And if they're not working with anybody in makeup or in eyeliner or something like that, then I'm going to try to work with them. That's the best way to do that. So I know it's hard when you're thinking about this like I'm looking for dancers because it's not the same as influencer marketing where you can find dancers, right? It's not the same as Instagram and going and finding that group of people there. You're going to find creators that can sell adjacent products. That's an easier way to think about it. Does that make sense? Awesome. Any other questions on this phase here? Oh, you know what? We're going to take a short break. My good friend Kurt is going to come up. Kurt Bell from Dash5. It's not a break. It's a Kurt break. I'm going to take a break. And then I'm going to be back to talk about the other phases and, any sort of questions that you have. Kurt.
Thanks, Jordan. Can I grab that clicker from you?
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Met Jordan a year and a half, 2 years ago almost, and he's phenomenal. So glad he's here in Utah and we're able to learn from him. I'll be quick. Kurt Bell with Dash5. We're the sponsor for today's event. I know it's the last thing you want to hear from is the sponsor of the event, so I'll try and make this as short and painless as possible. But I think with Jordan's point earlier about when something's working on TikTok, combining the ads with it, the Spark ads or whatever it is on TikTok, that's where we're going to come into play. Dash5 helps you maximize the rebate or the cash back you're getting from your ad spend. And I would assume by raise of hands, who here spends money on Facebook, Google, TikTok ads? Everybody, right? So that's the hope is if you're going to spend dollars there, how do we get you as much money back into your pocket from that spend? So really quickly, intro on me. I'm from Syracuse, Utah. It is here in Utah. It's about an hour up north. I know Davis County is maybe seen as Utah sometimes down here. Love D2C. I've been at Dash for about 2 years, just over 2 years. Been in the D2C community for about just over 5 years. Love working with founders. Love helping D2C brands grow. And then girl dad. I've got a 3, a 2, and 1 on the way. So very outnumbered at my house in terms of female to male ratio there. Our product is very simple. Dash5, we are a virtual credit card that you use to pay for your digital advertising. So you put our card on file with your Facebook. Some of you may still be able to pay Google with a card. Some may not. We have a workaround for that with the push they did for invoicing. Or your TikTok account. You'll charge our card for those ads. and then we give you a rebate. We have the highest rebate in the market, a guaranteed 3%. Most people are getting Amex points that are worth cents on the dollar, or maybe 1.5 to 2%. We're going to come in a lot higher than that at 3. We do daily limits of 5 million plus, so you never have to worry about your cards getting declined during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then the cash back, you can take it as the founder, send it to the company, use it as employee incentive, or a little bit mix of everything. So if that's interesting to you, would love to chat more. Companies we work with here in Utah, Jessica A, Cozy Earth, made by Mary Wildbird, are 4 that come to mind. Outside of Utah, work with companies like Everyday Dough, So It's Overnight, those companies you see here. So it works from everything from apparel to watches to CPG, anybody that spends money on ads. That's what we're here to do. I forgot to bring this up here. Give me one sec. But we're going to do a little giveaway to make it fun. So one of our clients is Original Grain. They make wooden watches. Has anybody heard of Original Grain before? Yeah, a few? Cool. They're sweet. So we try and support our clients. I got an Original Grain watch here. It's very cool. It's like their Hawaiian type wood is what this model is here. So that QR code, it sets up 15 minutes to chat through how you're currently spending, what you're currently using to pay for your ads, see if we can get you a better rebate. If you sign up, I'll put the people that sign up into a drawing, pick one at random, and then I'll come hand deliver this watch to you, whether it's, I'll try and do it by the end of our time today, or can find you sometime next week. I'll make the long drive down south from Davis County to come deliver this. So that's DashFi in a nutshell. We love working with Utah brands. If there's an opportunity to work, we'll love to partner, and we'll toss it back over to the man of the hour. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, come on up, Jordan. But I just wanted to give Kurt a round of applause, round of applause. We were really just like, we want one sponsor to help cover, and we're trying to do more events and all that stuff so that we keep it really, really tactical and on hand for everybody. So thanks. And Jordan, you're still up.
Awesome. I also think Kurt is just one of the greatest guys. I see him at events, and he always makes me happy. So, awesome. Any questions come into your head during that break for me, or should I keep going here? Yeah, Brad. Yes, Brad.
So my wife's product, they are doing pretty good. They just launched like 6 months ago. But they have a problem on TikTok where creators don't want to link their product to the shop, like the shop link.
Okay.
In their TikTok reels or whatever. Because they say like performs lower than if they just posted. Is that something you hear?
So I think that that's probably because she isn't working with TikTok shop creators, right? So TikTok shop creators will, that is how they make money, right? So she's probably working more with influencers. So that's one of the big differences, actually. That's a really good question, because that brings up, like, there's still 2 different types of people on TikTok, right? There's influencers, and then there's these product creators. The product creators all day, they know that that's where their money is going to come from. I don't actually think that that's true right now. TikTok continues to put them into the feed because they continue to work, and that's how TikTok makes money, right? So the incentives are there.
That's what I had thought. That's just like the feedback they get from the influencers that they're recommending. Because they'll crush it for them on like Instagram. But they're like, oh, we won't tag your product on TikTok. We'll talk about it, but we don't want to tag the product because that video doesn't get like views because it's got the product.
Yeah, it's influencers. That's the difference. And an Instagram influencer doesn't understand TikTok shop. It's just they're not the same person. Yes.
So that's what I was going to get to is there's probably a hangover effect from how Instagram does things, and when they link things, there may be a lower conversion right there than what TikTok's doing. Obviously, TikTok's different incentives than that.
Totally. TikTok is really pushing this, and we're going to see Instagram push it too, right? With all of the different things that Instagram has done this year, it's going to be really interesting to see. You know, I think I talked about it in this before, where Instagram is offering $300,000 for some select influencers to stop posting on TikTok and actually move over to Instagram. So this is something that was like just leaked recently. Very interesting, some of the things that they're trying to do to get TikTok influencers over, because they are a different beast, right? They're able to produce just content that's more engaging. It's not just that TikTok's algorithm is better. It's that more engaging influencers go there because their content can be seen by a lot more people because it's content-based, not account-based. Now, Instagram is moving over to that model, but that's kind of where all of that comes from. I had a question over here. Was there one? No? Okay. Okay, so phase 2. So optimizing ads. Who here has run TikTok Shop ads before? Yes, yes, yes. Anyone have success running TikTok Shop ads? There are a couple of different versions of TikTok Shop ads, right? So if we've run TikTok ads before, these are specific ads for TikTok Shop. So we have VSAs, which, what does VSA stand for again? I always just call them video sales ads. I think that's what it stands for. Versus GMV Max. So the way that this works, and again, if we talk about creators being at the center of all of this, it's really, really important to know that creators hate GMV Max because GMV Max takes from everyone who has tagged your product, and it's a brilliant platform and a brilliant ad strategy. I think it's probably something that I bet Facebook is going to take from as Instagram starts to roll out their social commerce. But one of the really interesting things that it does is it takes from everyone who's tagged you. So if your brand is running GMV Max, you don't necessarily get to say which creators are going to get the ad spend. Instead, GMV Max just takes from these, say it's 1,000, before Hans was saying, they get between 1,000 and 1,500 videos a month. It's going to take from one of those videos or a combination of those videos and serve them up to get you the best possible performance. It really depends what the way that you look at the world when it comes to some of these ad platforms. GMV Max is a target ROAS system. And so what you're trying to do, it's essentially like cost caps, right, on Facebook. And I know that's generally people sit on one side of the aisle or the other. I don't really care. What I'm looking for is performance and performance at scale. GMV Max is really, really difficult to keep your creators happy. So for me, I really try and lean against GMV Max, even though in the short term, you're probably going to get better results. With VSAs, now, and you can only run per product ID, you can only run one or the other. You cannot run both at the same time. So that's a really big deal to know. So we've got our GMV Max ads on this side. We've got our VSAs on this side. I really recommend first starting with some of these initial creators that you're working with and starting to run ads against their product. Against their videos on a specific product. The reason being that those particular creators you can incentivize by telling them that you're going to run mass amounts of, or not mass amounts, but you're going to run a certain amount of spend against their video. That's going to incentivize them to work with you longer. And so what you can do is you can actually negotiate with them and try and get 15 minimum videos out of them saying, hey, I'm going to put $3,000 of ad spend against your videos in general, but I need you on the other side to make 15 videos. Now, if one of your videos does well, and I would even tell them like, hey, our break even here is at a 2.7 ROAS. Right? Based on how much commission. I would just tell them straight up so that they understand where the win-win is. And then tell them, hey, if we're over a 3 return on ad spend, and I like using return on ad spend on TikTok Shop because it's a closed ecosystem. I think that it's finally now become a very useful metric again. And so I would tell them, hey, we're going to spend all of this money against your videos, but I need a minimum of 15 videos. Most creators are going to say yes because they know that there's this possibility in the future of you spending $100,000 on one of their videos, and they're going to continue to make money. Questions on that? Any questions coming up? Brad?
So you have a creator and you're saying, hey, we're going to run ads on your video. Are you running it on their account or your account?
You're doing it as a Spark ad. No, so it's running through your ad account, but it is running like Spark ads are all whitelisted ads, right? So it's going to show up as their exact post that they made through their account.
So if they have the TikTok Shop link to the video, that would run with the ad.
Yes.
And then so they're making a commission on the sales from the ad.
Yes, so they also make a commission, which is why incentivizing them, letting them know, hey, I'm going to be spending a certain amount on your commission content is really important. We try and start first with bigger brands at 70% commission content and 30% non-commission content. And then slowly over time, we try and get to 50-50 so that we can blend it so that we're actually making money for the brand. Because that commission content drives a ton of revenue, but it is more difficult than commission-free content to actually be profitable. So you can give them a different commission rate, but one of the biggest things that you need to like with all of this is just communication with them. Letting them know, hey, when we start to get to scale with ads, we're going to be lowering your commission rate down to 10% or whatever it is. And you need to do those calculations. Again, I would just use ChatGPT if you don't have like a CFO to make those calculations. Like that, it's pretty easy to sort of figure out where that exactly happens, that break even. Yeah, Mikey?
So I'm trying to understand why they don't like GMV Max, because it's not guaranteed.
Yes. So one of the things that's out there in the creator community is they think that when a little bit of ad spend goes against one of their videos, that it stops the organic reach of that video. And so if you use GMV Max, you are not prioritizing their video, their particular video that they've made for your brand. You're just using one of the 1,000, and TikTok is deciding, and it could spend 20 cents on her video and 7,000 on the other creator's video. Oh, TikTok won't say. We don't know. It's just anecdotal. And it's not like there's nothing out there to say whether that happens or not, but that is what all creators believe. So that if you're going to run any sort of ad spend on a video, they want it to be a VSA. And they know, like all of our creators know the terms and they ask about that when we're bringing brands on. So it's pretty crazy. Yes, was there another, yes?
Do you ever incentivize them past that, like ROAS? Like say, okay, my ROAS is 3, but we end up getting 500 videos, here's an extra bonus, or do you not need to do that?
You don't need to, because you're going to be incentivized to spend way more money on that ad, which is then going to get them more and more commission. Right? So which is why, like when we look at some of the creators, like one of our creators pushed, I think it was around 900,000 of GMV in November. She's making an average of like 18% of that. Like just do the numbers on that. One creator, like that's a lot of money. Yes.
Question. When you set up this deal, hey, you got to make 15 videos. If you're doing the ads as VSA, how do you get it to split between 15?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the way that we run these VSAs is we run them in, are there like old school Facebook buyers here? Yeah? Okay, sweet. So the way that we actually set these campaigns up at scale is we run them as an ABO campaign. So we run campaign, ad set. Each ad set is a specific creator. And in that ad set, then we'll put all of those creators' ads in that particular ad set. So then that way we can scale up. Nope, it'll pick through one of them. All that we care is that it's going to pick one of them. That's going to be a winner. We just care about the creator, not necessarily the 15 videos that they use. And if you're smaller, then you could take those 15 videos and put them into 5 different ad sets if you want. If they're like what I would recommend using this sort of like ad set budget optimization type of structure is if you're not spending a ton of money yet, the idea is that you're putting those into like different hooks or different. Maybe there are 3 different product IDs, right? Whatever it is, you're separating them out that way. At scale, I like to just put one creator into one ad set. Yes, Brad.
Sorry, do you pay the creator for those 15 videos, or is this part of like, hey, you create 15 videos, we're gonna run ads on it, and you're gonna get a commission?
Exactly. So that's the negotiation. And that negotiation tends to work better with creators than trying to pay them a retainer and a percentage. Instead, committing to a certain amount of ad spend on the video tends to work better. Yeah. So again, it's just like this is all sales and negotiation, like all the time. Yes.
You mentioned that we kind of start with a 70% commission content and then 30% use it organic.
Yeah, so 70% like Spark codes at first, and then 30% brand-owned content. Yeah, that's the goals that we use at our agency. You probably at first, unless you have a massive video editing team, like our video editing team pumps out like, I don't know, thousands of videos a week, right? So we can do that to help our brands test more of that content at scale. The cool thing about that content is that usually anything that works on TikTok from brand content works really well over on Meta or YouTube Shorts. So that's something else to keep in mind for those of you guys. Yes?
So how do you find creators in this space from 0 to 10K?
Yes. So this you're not trying to get to high GMV creators at this point, right? You're trying to get to like, if you can get to mid-tier creators, I think this is a really good spot to get to some of those mid-tier creators by making sure to offer them that you're going to spend money if they create a certain amount of videos for you. Yeah, you can try and go after some of the big ones. It's just that you're not going to be able to. So here's where I recommend it again, just for transparency. I am an advisor of this company and on the cap table. So I advise using some sort of bot. Again, the one that I recommend right now is Reacher. The reason being also is that like whatever I tell them to build, they will build right now. They're a TikTok Shop bot that has a bunch of like really interesting functionality, including this idea of you being able to identify a certain video that worked for somebody else, a different brand that's in your category, and immediately send it to all of your creators that you're working with. That was my idea, just so everyone knows. I thought it was kind of a good idea, and they built it. So they have just as many as anybody else out there, but I definitely recommend using a bot like that. I think their cold start is like $79 a month, comparatively to like, it would cost you so much time. Even if you're using like VA time, it would cost you so much more to like actually manually message them all. So there's them. There is, oh my gosh, what are some of the other ones that are out there? Yuka is another one that you can use. There is, I'm trying to remember who else is out there right now. Those are kind of the two big ones right now, is Reacher and Yuka. So that's a really important thing to do. Brad, are you guys doing everything manual right now, or are you using a bot for outreach? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. You're not quite there yet. Or.
On my wife's business that is on TikTok Shop, they just manual outreach.
Okay. So.
So maybe $100 a month right now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay. So it's not hasn't quite hit traction yet. So definitely at the beginning, when you're trying to reach out to some of these creators, I still recommend using a bot. It's going to help you get that traction really early, because you are going to have to do a mass amount of outreach at the beginning. Remember, when I think about the Pareto principle here in the 80-20, it's messaging is going to be the most important thing that you spend all of your time on with this. I'd much rather you spend a lot of time on your messaging than on actually trying to reach out to creators. That's why a bot just makes a lot of sense in this way. And making sure that your initial message actually catches their attention. So that's where I would spend my time. Again, the psychology, the creator psychology is the most important thing. Making sure that they understand what they're going to get, whether it's going to be like, they're going to get cool points for working with this brand. Remember, there's a lot of like not very well-known brands on there. When we go into our creator community and we let them know like, hey, by the way, we're talking to this brand that you know really well, all of them are so pumped because they want to feel legitimate. So that's one of the ways that you can also try to incentivize, is with some form of like legitimacy. Yes?
Yeah, do you want to flex on them and say, hey, this brand's done X millions in other platforms, even though it's got nothing in TikTok Shop?
Yes, totally. Whatever you can do to try to convince them that like, hey, this is actually, you're in on the ground floor, man. Like, that's definitely a very good thing to do. Any other questions on that side there? Awesome. Let's talk about finding your hero SKU. Let's see where we're at here. Matt, how long should I go for?
4 o'clock.
Till 4.
Okay.
Okay.
You're doing great. Just keep going.
Is everyone good? Like, I feel like I'm going to talk for 2 hours. Like, okay. Well, I like the question and answer sort of time, so that really, really helps here. So I'm okay to go till 4. Like, I just talk all day, every day, so it's. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so finding your hero SKU. So this is really important. We started to talk about this a little bit before on how to find your hero SKU. So first of all, anything under $100 is generally going to work in some sort of way. Let's go back to the example. Let's go into kitchenwares, right? If we go into kitchenwares and look and see, because what people will say to you is like, oh, anything like around $30 works. And it's like, yes, that's true, but it's also incredibly hard to be profitable at $30. Also, your creators don't want to work for a $30 product, because even if you're offering 20% of that $30 product, it's still only $6, right? So that they're going to get from that. They want to know how much they can make per sale, which is really interesting. So that's one of the things that we've discovered over time, is they want to know, what does that look like? So let's go to Ninja, who we are trying to get into the fold at Social Commerce Club. So if anybody knows Ninja, I mostly just want a free Ninja Creamy to give away to another friend or something. So Ninja is a really interesting example. Their average order value is around $200, right? So now we can look and see, well, obviously people on TikTok Shop in this particular category will purchase that. And so I think going and looking, again, Calidata is my favorite. Go to Calidata and look in some of these different categories and find out. We, yesterday, Felix had an impromptu meeting with a fairly well-known leggings brand. And we went into the different categories, and there's actually nobody in leggings that is beyond sort of that $35 price point, which is really interesting, because I actually think that there's room then for, like, there's Blue Ocean in a higher end product there. So it's really trying to find, like, where is this actually going to work? Just because, and again, I brought up those shoes before, just because a product category only has $50,000 in it does not mean that you can't do $1 million in the product category. So what I'm trying to tell you is, like, there's a lot of guess and test when it comes to what product you should put there. The biggest thing to keep in mind, and I've already talked about this before, is that it is an exclusive product for TikTok. So whatever you can do for TikTok Shop, whatever you can do to make that product exclusive is going to be is going to work for you. I talked about this in the panel that we did before. I talked about again the idea of the Pareto principle. So for trying to find what your hero SKU is, I would try and find, again, be somewhere around where some of your competitors are as far as price is concerned. And then what I would do is line up and start to sample out your top 5 products that you think will work. And lo and behold, one of them is going to hit, right? So 20%, like if we look at the 80-20 rule, one of those 5 is going to hit, and that is the one that I would double down with. How much it's going to cost is probably a question for you guys to do that, and it's really going to depend on your particular product. But I would go with what one of your hero SKUs have been on other platforms, ones that have sold well on over on Facebook and Instagram, ones that sell well on Amazon as well. Remember, it's a very similar type of purchase that people are making, a very frictionless type of purchase that people are making. And you're going to have the halo first over onto Amazon. What questions do you guys have about this, finding your hero SKU? Yes?
Can you explain why you need a hero SKU versus just everything's equal?
Yes, good question. So it comes back to creators, right? You want that hero SKU because you want that one product ID to have a ton of revenue on it, because that's how you're going to get to the highest end creators, right? Those high end creators are going to see, oh wow, they have a They're not going to look at the store. They're going to look at the product ID. They are not business people, right? You have to remember, they're not business people. Like, for me, I would look and I'd be like, oh, sweet, Nike wants me to work with them. Awesome. I'm sure whatever they send to me, I'm going to be able to sell. So yeah, that's a really good question. Just, yeah, and again, the more contact that you can have with your creators, the better, because then you're going to be able to understand this more. Yes? Yeah, so I would, it really depends how much money you have to spend on this. If you don't have a lot of money, pick your top 3 that you think are going to fit that category. I created a custom GPT that sort of helps pull out from a brand's website. I don't even know where that, I have the custom GPT somewhere. If I find it, Matt, I will make sure to email that out so you guys can see. It actually works incredibly well based on different parameters that we've set. To sort of get you started. So again, if you don't have a lot of money to spend, pick your top 3, and then one of those will emerge. If you do have a little bit more money that you can play around with, then I would go with your top 5. It'll surprise you what works. So Yes, other questions on this? Yes.
So TikTok, we talk about pricing,
Yeah.
sensitivity, but obviously the creators are very sensitive to their upside. Are you seeing more that are being more open to higher ticket items because of that upside potential, or are you seeing that it's just not the platform for higher AOV?
No, totally. So our high GMV creators so lots of them work with Ninja because they're able to get these high GMV types of commissions. So they're looking at that and they're now realizing it. That some of these higher end products actually do sell incredibly well, and they're understanding the volume that they can get to on that. So I think that it's like any platform. Amazon started with books, right? And they continue to, now they can sell houses or whatever they sell. Yes.
How much do you recommend we spend to test 3? To find a hero?
I like $10,000.
First year?
No, I would just do 10,000 overall. And you're going to seed those out and then spend, let's say you're trying to get to, what you're really trying to figure out is like the channel market fit for this, right? So once you start to get some traction on there, I would say even 100 sales of one particular item. And if you're starting to hit anywhere close to a break even, that is where I would start to then double down and get to the first 1,000 sales before you start mass seeding.
And do you do that as a creator style video or like just a normal ad that you use on Meta?
No, I would start working with creators at that point. Yeah. Yeah, so and again, incentivizing them with some sort of ad spend that you're going to put against their videos. So I would look for somebody who's already worked with a competitor or somebody in your space or a product adjacent category. Awesome. Any other questions on that? Okay, so let's talk about scaling. So this is in between 10 and 100K a month. So this is really where you're going to start building out this affiliate ecosystem. This is where you're going to start expanding your affiliate network. This is where you're going to actually have GMV on some of these product IDs that you're going to want to then start to leverage. So this is where you're going to use a tool like Reacher. You're going to start reaching out as much as possible and getting the product into people's hands. When you're actually reaching out to some of these creators, there is a score for how often they fulfill. Do not look for people who fulfill 100% of the time. That is just not going to be realistic. But we look for people who are fulfilling at least 90% of the time. So there is a chance that you're going to send a product out and they are not going to fulfill it. I'm sure all of you have done product seeding and gifting before, and 90% would be incredible to get. So think about it that way. And again, tracking these creators is the point at this point. You're really trying to find what are the types of creators that resonate, what do they talk about, and what types of things do they talk about with my product specifically? What kinds of hooks are they using? What did they point out about my product that I didn't actually even know, and a way to position my product? This is where TikTok Shop is just the most incredible customer research tool that you will ever have. If you only think about it like a channel, like a sales channel, you're missing the point, right? For massive brands, this is the way that massive brands are going to be able to do product research in the future, because they're getting into the hands of people who actually use it, and they'll talk about the way that they like it. I think for one of our shoe brand that we work with, people created their own catchphrase based on this shoe, and then a bunch of other creators used that exact same catchphrase, right? Well, they never would have had that if we hadn't have sampled a bunch of these types of creators. And so now we're looking for those particular types of creators. These are we'll call them like Nashville moms that tend to be in this certain category. And now we've got this whole category of types of creators because we know that they work really well with this particular product ID. So I know it sounds like a lot, and it's because it is. It's a huge new muscle that you have to build as a brand. Yes?
So I think I'm trying to understand it versus like Instagram. Don't people get sick and tired of them pushing product all the time and being like, you're trying to sell me 50 different makeup brands and I'm sick of you, like you're not real? How can you like all of these different brands? You know what I mean? Does
Totally.
that happen, or?
So these are not influencers. They don't care about their following in the same sort of way as they do about selling products online,
But
right?
as far as the consumer goes, doesn't the consumer start looking at them like, I'm not going to believe
That's not how the TikTok algorithm works. The TikTok algorithm is not based on your followers, right? Only the first 200 to 300 views is based on your followers. The rest, and that's why TikTok was such an insane platform, because you didn't have to build a following in the same way as you had to build great content that people liked. So the only thing that a creator needs to care about is whether TikTok's algorithm likes them or not, right? Which is really scary as we like go into the world of AI. Like, even as I said that, I was like, oh, yikes. Other questions? Yes?
What do you recommend as far as like following promotions and campaigns that you're doing on your E2C site with TikTok Shop?
Yeah, good. So I think that's going to come down to strategy. So the question was, what do you recommend doing with, what was the first one? Following? Or, following.
Matching the same campaigns and promotions that you would do on your Shopify E2C site.
Yeah, so I think Ryan, right? Ryan, yeah. Ryan brought up a really good point. Ryan used to be at Tapcart. One of our brands always used Tapcart. I love Tapcart, or I love apps in general, because we would do these same types of things on apps and have like exclusive things on the app as a channel. So it wouldn't just be an easier way to shop. It is an entirely new channel. Think of TikTok Shop that way, right? So I would start releasing specific products only on TikTok Shop first, right? And actually not following the same cadence as your store. Again, if we're thinking about creators at the center of all of this, we're trying to tell the creators, hey, this is this unique, we're leveraging our brand uniquely on this channel for you and for how you're going to see this channel, right? And the different things that you can sell on this channel. Exclusivity is like massive. Again, exclusivity and FOMO beat price all day long, right? That's what good marketers are constantly using rather than using discounts. Yes?
You're doing an amazing job, by the way. This is so great.
Oh, thanks.
Kidding on Top Shop. Are you seeing, I've seen a little bit, like Goalie's doing it a little bit. I've seen a
Yeah.
couple different places. Is there resistance with them just inherently, or are they encouraging kidding? Like this bonus, this bonus, this bonus, like the stack offer, right?
I would say TikTok in general is encouraging kidding, and kidding's a really easy way that you can actually differentiate your product from something else.
So they're encouraging it. They're not going to penalize you for it.
Yes. No. They're not going to penalize you at all. No. And also, actually, an interesting thing coming out soon. Who here runs subscription brands? Or brands with subscriptions? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The subscription doc in the house here. So I forgot about that. Yeah, of course. It was just released that in April they're going to release subscription beta. So yes, very, very much. We've had so many subscription brands come to us wanting that on TikTok Shop. So I think that's going to open up like this massive category. Again, they're saying beta around April. If you guys follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter, I will constantly be talking about kind of what the next things are that are coming out. So, a couple of things here as well. I talk about utilizing brand calendars. Really lean into it. I think I might have a slide about this before. But yeah, I think I'm going to talk about this after, I was going to talk about it after, but I'll talk about it now. Leaning into TikTok's specific calendar for promos. So get onto their calendar for promos. I think I put in the slide before. It's like, why swim up the river when you can just swim down the river with them? They're going to give you a lot of like discount bonuses and all of that kind of stuff when it comes to their content calendar. So follow their content calendar very closely. That's about all I have to say on that. Really figuring out, again, just go to ChatGPT, figure out what your break-even ROAS is based on different levels of commission, right? So higher GMV creators are going to command a higher commission level. Be okay with spending as much as 20% on them, because they're then going to attract smaller, lower level type of creators that you're going to want sort of in your daily, making videos for you daily. And especially if you can get into that idea that I talked about before with committing to ad spend to get 15 videos. That's a really, really great way to do that. Questions? Yes?
What do you typically offer in terms of like commitment to ad spend? Is there like a range that you usually shoot for that gets creators excited?
I like $3,000. I think I don't know why. There's no data behind that or anything like that. I think that them hearing a number like that would be a lot bigger than what you'd pay them as a retainer to make videos. They're like, oh, sweet, you're gonna put $3,000 behind our video. They're not necessarily doing that calculation in the same sort of way. It's like you know, when you go somewhere and they're like offering all sorts of like this bonus and like it has $10,000 of value and this, and you just kind of get swept up and you're like, oh, the bigger numbers just mean more for me. That's why $3,000 comparatively to like you'd pay a retainer usually around $1,500 to make 15 videos. That's kind of where I came up with that. So, Brad?
How do you manage all your affiliate creators? Like, do you group them in a Slack channel and blast them, or is it like more one-on-one communication? Like, hey, can you make a video about this product? Like, once you have that relationship with them,
Yeah.
how do you then manage 20 or 50 or 100?
Yeah, so I would recommend a WhatsApp group. I would recommend somewhere centralized that you can talk to them both one-on-one and within the community. So not just announcements. So a one-to-many channel is not a good idea. Don't do like an SMS blast list. I would have one that is more community-centric. Where they can talk back and forth as well, because then they will also say for you, like, hey guys, did you get on this new promo? Hey, I've been making a bunch of money on this new promo. Anyone else? They'll be like, oh, I want to get on that promo. So that's the way to do that. As far as like a CRM is concerned, Reacher is a good one that can kind of centralize all of your actual TikTok communication, because you have to have the actual connection on TikTok, right, with either an open collab or target collabs. So you need to also have that going for you. But I recommend doing the messaging off platform somewhere centralized. Does that make sense? Okay, sweet. Yes?
For the other end of the field, not creator specific, but customer specific side.
Yeah.
Like when they purchase a product,
Yeah.
would it be better to use like Shopify backend for fulfillment, or TikTok fulfillment, or Amazon fulfillment, or what would be the best case scenario?
I think it's going to be brand specific, but I would just start with Shopify because it's going to be the lowest level lift. I think that's really going to be the easiest thing. I would not go to fulfillment by TikTok yet until you actually get traction, right? I've seen brands send thousands into that, and then they're just sitting there waiting, right? Yeah, this is like a question, especially from like really big brands who have like a ton of different types of fulfillment. Using multi-channel fulfillment and using Amazon is just like a really easy lift. Like using FBA is a super easy lift, and I would recommend doing that if you can. Are you in that position where you can do that? Yeah. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, it really depends. Like maybe we can talk after of your specific situation, because there's so many different tools out there. But again, if you're on Shopify, just do that first to start, and then you can build it all after. Yeah.
I had the same question. So is TikTok, are we seeing any evidence that TikTok showing preference to fulfill by TikTok?
No.
Shops or not?
No. There's no preference like Prime or anything like that yet. But of course, we can see what Amazon has built, and of course, it is going to be at some point. I can imagine that they will have some kind of Prime program like that. Yeah. Yeah. Man, such good questions.
You should, because you don't know sometimes if you're ordering from a warehouse in China or, that's one of the things I don't like about TikTok Shop, is I'll order something and some stuff comes in 2 days and some stuff comes in 3 weeks.
Totally. Yeah.
As a user.
Yeah. At some point, there will be that badge. Again, if we just remember Amazon's evolution, it's really interesting to see TikToks, right? Because I think that they're actually skipping some steps, and it's not going to be this like 10-year or 15-year evolution. I mean, Amazon's been around for how long? But like, I think about since Amazon brought other brands on and FBA and all of that. So, yes.
I'm just getting started with this TikTok shop before I want to drop a brand and invest in all that.
Yeah.
Do you recommend doing this like AliExpress, connecting with like the vendors that will drop ship and like put your branding in there and just like get some velocity and like get some systems set up and then maybe drop your brand? Do you ever do that?
I mean, that's not a bad idea. Like the idea is like basically like use like a white label partner just to build the muscle of TikTok Shop.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I was thinking.
it's not a bad idea. Like
You choose the ones that can ship it in 3 days, not like 3 weeks.
totally, and that will white label for you.
Right, that's what
Yeah. That's like
It's almost, of course, just for those people that want to just like get
Yeah, that just want to, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like the question is basically about like, is building the muscle on TikTok Shop by doing drop shipping, like white labeled drop shipping, a good idea? I think that whatever drop shippers are doing, I was actually going to write a post on this the other day, that whatever drop shippers are doing, everyone should look at, because drop shipping is the hardest possible way to make money because your margins are so much less. So anything that they're on, you should probably just go and do right away because there's actual margin there to do. So if you can make money drop shipping something white labeled, do it. Awesome. Anything else? You guys are so engaged. This makes me very happy. Thank you. Yes, so continually doubling down on affiliates and the types of affiliates that work, and then making sure to find that break-even ROAS is very important. So just know that before you go into this. Find out what that is. If your margins are less than like 65%, your gross margins, this is going to be difficult for you. Unless you have a higher AOV product that you can make up for your gross margin in volume. All right, and we're already on phase 4. Okay, so this is really my favorite part of TikTok Shop. This is where you're going to actually get into high GMV creator land. This is where bot outreach is really important. This is where starting to drop new products in is really important. If we still had our True Classic guy here, this is where like all of these like what I would do if I were them right now is I would look at new colors that I'm releasing and only release them on TikTok Shop to these specific high GMV creators, and then I would gate it. So it's only a certain amount of creators that are going to be let in, and they have to be doing a certain amount of GMV. And that if they don't hit those numbers, then they aren't in the program anymore. So that's what I would do there is like just start to get ruthless. This is where you've completely turned the tables, right? At the beginning, you are here and the creators are here. And really what you're trying to do is create win-win, but there will be a point where you can basically tell the creators what you're going to do. We work with some brands that are like that right now, and it sucks for the creators, but there does get to be a point where you now are in the driver's seat as a brand, where you are able to control who you want to work with and you don't have to say yes to everyone. I still recommend, no matter how big you get on TikTok Shop, to continue being humble when it comes to this and continue to acknowledge the people that brought you to that next, like to that level, because it's really important. Again, you do not want to piss off this creator community. They all talk to each other. It's high school, right? It's really important to know that this is a, these are the people that are going to help you make money continually on the platform. But once you get to a certain point, this is where you just have a lot more power. So. Yes, we talked about contests before. Who was talking about contests? Yes. So contests are a great way. Again, if you guys haven't checked out Refunnel, they're going to be releasing something like this very, very soon for TikTok Shop. I think it's a very interesting way to be able to get people really excited. Contests are where you can really go into like hyperdrive, right? So that's where you're going to get people super excited and posting a bunch. Giving them different like GMV targets, different amounts of video targets, and offering something just insane to get them excited, I think is really the way to go with this. What you want to do, yes, I'm glad I wrote this down. What you want to do is create a moat, right? At this point, not everyone is allowed into your creator community, and this is where you can actually create that moat. Which is, again, where you can kind of get into that sort of like hyperscale sort of mode. Any questions around this? This is contests for the creators. So this is really the time to start doing it when you get into this like 100,000 sort of range. And you're getting some kind of traction at this point. This is where I would start running contests to get them really excited. Think about what your creator community wants, right? If your creator community is moms, I would do a trip to Disneyland, right? Do something that's really interesting for them, and that's like they're going to be like, oh my gosh, not only am I making like 10K a month from this brand, but I'm also gonna potentially win a trip to Disneyland, which again is probably less than 10K. Right? So you've got to think about things that I actually tell this to software companies all the time. I'm like, if you're working with influencers, I'm like, most of the like B2B influencers have lots of money, What they want is just something that's novel, right? So especially for these people who are doing really well financially, you want to like create some sort of novelty for them that is going to push them to create a lot more. What's that? Like the trip to Disneyland, like I think trips are just a very interesting one, right? That you can offer. People have offered like Ferraris. Obviously, that's like massive. I would try and. I just think a Ferrari doesn't have the same kind of value versus what it costs. I would just get really creative with your creator community. I can't think of stuff on the spot besides trips. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions here. Let's go to Ryan, and then I'm going to come.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
So Meta has a disruptors group that they get these influencers all together, and they do a really good job of basically spoiling them, getting them together in different markets like New York, LA, whatever. So if you have those pockets of where those influencers might be, where you can wine and dine them, take them out to dinner, again, that's way cheaper.
That is yes. Make them feel special. Thank you. That is such a good idea.
And let them build connections with each other under your umbrella, because
Totally.
brands are doing it. Again, Meta's huge, but you can do that under your brand umbrella.
Yeah. So a meta example of this is that we're with Sam. We're going to be putting an event on, and Matt and some other people. We're going to be putting on this Brand Meets Creators event, and really treating the creators like they are. Like, you know, when you guys go to brand events, right? And like it's always like SaaS and everyone around. Like, we're actually going to be making it the opposite, where it's the creators who this event is centered around, and it's brands that have the ability to then come and bring them products. And so we want to treat the brands incredibly well. So that's our big sort of like agency play with these brands, with these creators, because we think that's a really interesting way to be able for brands to meet creators. And so that's how we want to treat them special. Does anyone here know Nick Lamoth? No? Nick is just like such a great guy. He was part of my mastermind for years, and he, a couple of years ago, worked at a brand called Legends, and he actually introduced this idea of throwing big parties for creators. It was specifically in LA. So if you're in any of these major places, even like Salt Lake, there's going to be a ton of creators that are going to be here that you can spend like $5,000 and create this incredible environment for them to be able to come to, but it has to be exclusive. There has to be some kind of bar for them to go over. So that's, again, really, really great way to leverage that. And then you can go even beyond that, and you can invite another brand to pay for it for you, because you're going to then tell them and let them meet these new creators. So that's how my mind is always working. Like, how can I get someone else to pay for it? Yeah. We had other hands here. Yes.
So at this stage, you can and you shouldn't be accepting every creator. So what kind of criteria are you looking for to accept more people, and what do you say, okay, this is a cutoff point?
So at this point, you can start to actually get a little bit more picky when it comes to the type of content. At first, you can't, but at this point, you can start to be like, okay, are they going to be actual good brand advocates at this point? Like, do we like the content that they have? You know, you don't always just have to work with only high GMV creators, but if you find somebody who's done really well on a product like yours or an adjacent category, this is where I would start to accept them. Does that answer that question? Okay, awesome. Did you ask a question before, or?
Growing up here, anyone's in Utah, like look at like a lot of door knocking and stuff. Like everything is an incentivized party or like whatever awards, like contest.
Yeah.
Just get your local living guy and say, how'd you guys do it? It's the same concept. Like we're in so many of these big things that way, with the clickbait stuff, right?
Totally, yeah.
That's all I do. I just took that for MLMs do it really well.
Yeah, exactly. Like MLMs, door knocking, all of these things that when you're incentivized only by selling something, those are going to be the best people to find, right? Like, yeah, for sure. I had another question over here, I think, before. Was there another hand? No? Yeah, I think that's that's awesome, and I actually did not have that on my slides, and I'm so glad. I'm gonna add that to my list of ideas. Oh, this is fun. This is what I'm gonna end with today, is just some more AI ideas to be able to get more content, try and go down more niches. And really it's a matter of taking content that's working, getting AI to analyze it. So either getting the script, right? And getting AI to create you 50 more scripts like that, or pulling out what makes a video special, right? Sometimes we can look at a video and like be like, why did that one do so well? Our creators are, like we have creator coaches at our agency, and our creator coaches are incredibly good at picking out why something actually did well, but not all of you will be. And I'm not that great at it, but AI can get very good at that. And so what I would do if I was you guys is start to train a custom GPT on what actually works for your brand. And so drop scripts from these videos in. Be like, hey, this video did $100,000. Number one, why did it do that? And then what I would do is create a brief and put it into your custom GPT to be able to then create more briefs like that and start to hone in on different ideas that you may not have had. So that was just one sort of like final kind of like AI idea I wanted to give you guys as well to start to kick into another gear. Remember, this is just a channel, right? TikTok Shop is a channel, but social commerce is the way that people purchase. It's this idea that creators are the ones that are driving all of this revenue, but it doesn't just have to be on TikTok Shop, right? Again, you can use the same motion on D2C. You can use the same motion over to Amazon. I prefer owned channels. Again, TikTok is like the first channel, TikTok Shop is the first like non-owned channel that I've cared about. I hate when people like on LinkedIn are like, yeah, but you don't own the customer data. I'm like, I know, but yet I still think that it's that important. YouTube shopping is coming up right now. I don't recommend going into it yet. Please don't waste your money over there quite yet. They're not ready for any sort of volume yet. And then Instagram is going to be coming at some point. So remember, the muscles that you build now on TikTok is what you're going to use when it comes to all of these other channels that are going to come into the market. So any other questions? Yes?
I have one question on customer data. So what's it like right now? So say you're blowing out 2,000 units a day on TikTok Shop.
Yeah.
What customer information are you getting, or what hacks are there to get that information? Like, you just brought that up. I'm like, what is...
You only have their address.
That's all we're getting.
Yeah, yeah. So you can get like who's growing massively on Amazon. Yeah, like there's some pretty good hacks that you can use on Amazon to get people over, right? Warranties and guarantees are a really good way to do it. That's kind of like a fun little hack somebody came on my podcast and talked about recently, where they can only get the warranty for the product or the guarantee for the product if they go onto a QR code and then they have to sign up through your email flow. So that's a really great way. So if you offer any sort of warranty or guarantee, that's a really easy way, including some kind of low amount of gift card with every single order when you fulfill it. That's another way that doesn't go against terms of service. There's a lot of these little hacks that you can use, right, to try to get people over. So just like you would on Amazon. I know this has been a lot of info. Yes.
During the discussion of lunch, there was a question about customer service side of things.
Yes.
That I think it'd be valuable for the group to hear your answer on the customer service things. 'Cause, like, for example, I bought some Crocs. Sorry.
Yep. Yep.
On TikTok, and the fulfillment was terrible.
Yep.
And I had a really bad experience where we literally bought a couple of days later because we found out it wouldn't be here in time for Christmas. We bought another one direct on Crocs website. It had a better shopping experience. So as creators are
The halo effect, by the way.
so as people are building their TikTok shop, it also affects the creators, right? Like, creators could be getting to them, hey, I bought this thing off
Totally.
recommendation, and that can build, some tension between you and the creators. So what are some things that people could do to improve that relationship, if anything?
Yeah, so right.
Have their data.
Yeah, so right now all the customer service is done like right within Seller Center there on TikTok. So there are not any very good integrations as far as I know. I wish my head of TikTok Shop was here because she might correct me on that. But right now there are not any good integrations. What I would make sure is, my mentor that I've worked with for years always has the saying, it's all in the setup. Make sure that your fulfillment setup is just as good on TikTok Shop as it is with everything else. So I know I kind of like sort of said before, like, oh, it's not a big deal, just like whatever. I didn't mean it like that. What I meant is like, make sure that your fulfillment, if you give 2-day fulfillment on, and which is why Amazon, if you can go into multi-channel fulfillment and use Amazon as your fulfillment, they are the best fulfiller that is out there right now, right? I would just use them. I don't know. That's good to know. I was just chatting with Crocs yesterday about their stuff, and it's good to know that that isn't working for them right now, right? So that's a big deal, right? And really sucks as a consumer. The funny thing is, you went and bought it anyway, right? Afterwards, yeah. So I don't think that's tactical, but as you're setting this up, make sure your fulfillment is on point. You will get dinged from TikTok Shop as well if you are not fulfilling in time. And that's a big deal because there's only a certain amount of points. I don't know them off the top of my head right now, but there is only a certain amount of points that you can get before your shop actually gets shut down. So I mentioned Brock at Frostbuddy before. He has had his shop shut down twice for like very, very small things. And remember, this is like a very large amount of revenue comparatively to his business. So it's a really big deal to make sure that you're fulfilling on time. So Crocs can get away with it because they're part of Global Key Accounts. And Global Key Accounts will just keep their shop up, and they'll do that for the big brands. So yeah, that's a very good example. Brad.
What do you recommend for like TikTok Shop connection to like Shopify? Do you just use the native integration?
Yes, so I would start with the native integration. Again, there's Shopdance, who's a really good partner. It really is going to depend on what you already have. If you can use the Shopify integration, just do that. It used to be buggy where like sometimes you wouldn't get you wouldn't actually get the information that would flow over. It's not really like that anymore. It's a pretty good integration that they have now. So that's the one that I would go with just to start. And then if you find that you need something more, then start to look into some of the other partners based on what your fulfillment is like. I'm thinking you're talking about your wife's company. So at this point, I would just like be very simple Shopify over. Awesome. Yes?
Is there like a date range for fulfillment, or is that like something you set yourself?
No, so TikTok specifically has a date range. Again, I do not know off the top of my head. As soon as it comes to like any of the ops sort of stuff on TikTok Shop, I kind of like just tune out. So there is a specific range. I just don't have it in my head right now. So you can look that up though. They do not want experiences like what happened with Crocs to happen, right? They want to be a legitimate entity that is actually fulfilling things on time, and they're going to compete at some point with Amazon. So, yes. Hopefully that helps. Sorry, it wasn't a specific answer. I believe that you can choose your own. I will have to get back to you on that one.
That's what Crocs did.
They chose their own.
Pay for our return shipping.
Yeah. So that's something that I'll try and get out to Matt as well with some of these questions that I wasn't able to answer. Felix, if you can just kind of keep track of any questions that I haven't been able to answer, that'd be great. Any other questions before we adjourn? And if you guys want to talk like and ask some like one-on-one questions, I'll be here. Yeah, it's 3:45. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for being so engaged. Like, it was awesome. Yes, Mikey.
You are so good at content. What's your strategy? You crush it, dude. Email, podcast.
Don't answer that question, Jordan.
So my strategy is be a human and just talk about the things that are working for me. And I still do all of my own content, which I know is psycho. And it's just a matter of like, I think that that's the most important thing is communicating to people about what's working. So hey, thanks. That's really nice. Oh yeah, I think I put that in here somewhere. Swim up river, yeah. Yeah.
We'll leave those up, but give Jordan a round of applause.
Yeah, thanks. If the one place if you could follow me is YouTube. If I could get a bunch of people following me on YouTube, I am trying to put out 2 videos a week right now on like really tactical, practical things. So that's the one thing I really care about on this list. But I produce content every single day that tries to be as helpful as possible on these other platforms.
Can you also share a little bit about your actual services? Because I know all that closed, I'll reopen it, but just tell everybody what you guys actually do as a service for brands or creators.
Oh yeah, totally. So
Because you're not selling yourself, so sell yourself.
Yeah. So Social Commerce Club. So we are what's considered a TSP, TikTok Shop partner. So we do everything on TikTok Shop. We're also a full-service marketing agency. So I've been around in this world for a while. Don't ask Brad about what he thinks about Social Commerce Club, because we parted ways a while ago. Yeah, that's right. You worked with Upgrowth Commerce, so yeah, don't go to Brad. No, I'm just kidding. Brad's great. So we're a full-service marketing agency that really focuses on social commerce. What we really believe is that creators, like what I talked about, that creators are at the middle of all of it. So whether it's Meta, whether it's YouTube, and whether it's TikTok Shop or Flip or maybe Trend, right? Whatever it is, creators. Shout out Trend. Yeah, he gave me $1,000 to say that. Whatever we do, we really truly believe that creators are at the middle of it. And so all of our services are based off of that and off of growth. So we work with some very recognized brands out there, and then we work with some brands that are just starting to grow on the platform. And we like to think, I think because I've owned so many brands and failed so many times over the years, and then also had some wins, that's probably what sets us apart, is having that sort of empathy for brand owners and actually understanding what break even looks like and all of that. So so that's a bit about Social Commerce Club. Oh, and
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. So, based on the creators here, so we have an example. So, Dude Whites is starting with us, but just with our creator network. So, we operate like a tap as well. So,
yeah, so there's this thing.
talk to us about running their shop, but they're in contract, it's already running. How can we work with you? So, for larger brands, our creator network is interested in those larger brands. So there are ways to also plug in. There's kind of a few different ways to plug into what we're doing. And large brands might be already under contract running their shop, or they're running it internally. They're not looking for that service right now. They're still accessing our creator network. So there's a few different ways to
Yeah.
tap into what we're doing.
Yeah, so it's called, just for people who didn't hear Felix there before, so because we have this incredible creator network, there is this thing, it's a very internal language called TAP. It's a TikTok Shop affiliate partner. We basically partner with other brands who want to take advantage of our affiliate network. So if you guys are a well-known brand or a brand out there that wants to get into our network, you can feel free to reach out to Felix. That's another fun way that we work with brands. So that's my big pitch. Thanks for making me feel uncomfortable up here, Matt. I like to give a lot of value, and then people can figure it out for themselves, but yeah.
Give him a round of applause. You did a great job. Thanks for those of you who were here at lunch and for that. You can take a deep sigh of relief. You made it. For anybody who's wants to be hanging out a little while, we'll be here till about another 10, 15 minutes. We are hosting a little bit of a dinner tonight. If anybody wants to stick around, we have a couple spots left. Come just talk to me about that if you're interested in coming to that. We have a fun little group getting together. And that's it. Pay attention for other notifications on events for Commerce Catalyst. This is why we do events, so you can learn stuff. Is that a good catchphrase? We do events so you can learn stuff? Anyway, all right, thanks.